Most students stay stuck at the same grade. Here's the 3-step routine I use to actually improve after an exam and get top grades. Before I share the first step, you need to understand something crucial. You can't improve at anything unless you first learn what you are doing wrong. And second, working on improving yourself. Most students skip these 2 steps. They check the mark, glance through the paper for a second, and move on. That's exactly why their grades stay the same. Don't just look at your grade. Instead, go through every question and ask yourself, what topics did I lose marks on? And what type of mistakes did I make? Did I forget the content? Was it poor exam technique and timing? Or did I misread the question? I don't know about your teachers, but when we got the exam back, in that very lesson, they would go through the mark scheme. When they do this, you want to be understanding where you went wrong and also understand why the mark scheme is correct. And then it helps to write down detailed corrections on every question that you didn't get full marks on. I also started writing these corrections on a piece of paper. This helped me track my errors, and I had to redo this piece of paper before going into my next exam to avoid making similar mistakes. And here's one more thing. If the mark scheme does not make sense, or if you're confused by a tricky question, ask your teacher. This is something else that separates those top students. They ask questions when something does not make sense, because with the question comes an explanation, and that explanation will help you develop a better understanding. And with that better understanding, you'll get more marks on similar questions in the future. The second step you want to take after understanding where you went wrong is working on your weaknesses. The truth is, we all gravitate to what we're good at, but you can only progress when you confront your weak areas. If you don't take time to consolidate the areas you lost marks in, your next exam is likely to go the same way. Make a list of the topics you found difficult or lost marks on in the exam, then spend enough time working on these topics at some point in the future, whether that's a couple days after the exam or in the run-up to your next exam. To improve on these topics, there's a couple of things you could do. Watch YouTube videos that explain the topic clearly and make your own notes as you go. Use your textbook, look at the learning objectives at the start of the chapter, and create summary notes that directly answer those objectives. And out of those 2 which you choose, answer practice questions on the weak topics, using the mark scheme again to understand where you go wrong, like you did with your exam. If you get one of these practice questions wrong, don't worry, that will only help you improve more. By actively focusing on your weaker areas, you'll turn your weaknesses into strengths, and that's how your grades start to improve. The third step you want to consider after you find your weaknesses and working on them is changing up your studying methods. If you've been using the same approach for months without any improvement, it might not be the content that's the problem, it's how you're studying, because different methods will work for different people. I had a 3-step system to revising in school. The first was to make notes when we were learning a topic in class, then answering questions the day before a topic test, and if a big exam was coming up, I would use past papers to revise. But you could make flashcards, mind maps, use blurting, make 1-page summaries, voice notes, YouTube videos, AI, mnemonics. Experiment with different methods and see what helps you understand the content better. And there's 2 things that I think you should definitely be doing. 1, practice questions. Since in an exam, you answer questions, so the best way to prepare is probably answering questions. And 2, when you make any revision materials, make sure you don't just copy down what the textbook, video, or whatever resource you're using says, because you're just limiting your understanding. Always ask yourself mentally, does this make sense to me? Because if not, you won't have a strong understanding, which makes it harder to apply knowledge to different questions. Whenever something did not make sense to me, I would ask my teacher to clarify it to make sure I had a good understanding. And actually, you might find by using a different way of revising, that particular method makes it easier for you to understand the content. You might be tired before you use this routine, but here's my after-school routine that helped me study even when I was tired.